all those moments are real. Nothing was ever scripted. It's the most common question that I always get.
The ponytail flip on stage at the Olympia scared me. You know what I'm talking about?
That was fun.
That was the only moment on stage
I thought
where I was
going to go down. Yeah.
No, that was real. Again, everybody thinks all the stuff at the press conference, you guys put him up to that. It's like, no, listen. All that stuff's real. The pony hair, the flip on stage to Phil.
Let's set the stage. So it's Kai and Phil. And I think Kai, before the press conference, had been going around signing Mr. Olympia.
Yes, that's exactly what he was doing.
Phil was pissed.
Yeah. That's disrespectful. I don't care. Listen, I'm old school. You don't sign a title you haven't earned.
Okay, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. I'm Big Ron Partlow. I got my co-host Dusty Hanshaw. Scott, the producer, McNally, is running stuff right now because we got two special guests. These two guys, I'm not even going to rattle off everything. I'm just going to say Hall of Famers and legends, obviously. We got Shawn Ray in the house, fellow mutant. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Adding the color.
Yes, and Bob Cicherillo,
the color man,
the voice of bodybuilding.
What's up?
Hey, man. It's good to see you again. And is it safe to say that you're kind of, a part of the mutant family a little bit? Can we talk about this at all?
Officially, yes. Me and Jim have come to terms. They were very difficult and long and drawn out, but through many negotiations, we have put together a deal. I am now officially part of the Mutant Nation, my friend.
I'm glad that your PR people could work out an extensive contract with Jim. He's a tough cookie to deal with, this guy.
Well, he promised to enroll me in the Cigar of the Month Club, and that was enough for me.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Cigar
Here we are.
of the Month. There we go. So it's great to have you guys on. Obviously, you guys, how many Arnolds have you been to, Shawn?
This is my 36th consecutive year. Some kind of a record.
Because it was originally, when Gaspari won it, it was called the Worlds, wasn't it?
1988.
88. It was the Worlds.
Yes, and that was not Gaspari. That was Mike Christian.
Mike Christian won that, and then
Gaspari won the first 1989
Arnold. Yes, okay. And then you came along in 90.
Yes.
Then you came back in 91, and you shut everybody up.
I shut them up.
Yeah.
And I've never missed it.
We won't talk about 90 because everybody knows.
Well, 90 was a precursor. It was an appetizer for 91, so it was bittersweet.
Yeah.
But I was glad to be a part of history.
Yeah.
Because it was the one and only time they tested, and the one and only time I failed.
There you go. There you go.
It's safe to say Shawn came up a little short.
Came up a little short. But I did survive.
Hey, I only fail the drug tests I take.
Yes, that's right. Listen, that was a necessary part of my journey.
Yeah.
Because it made me pause and then appreciate, because I could have went south.
Yeah,
I put my entire year.
You mean like to Texas or something?
Yeah, I could have went down to Georgia.
Bought a ranch.
Georgia?
But I could have went the other way, because that was a full year of training. You know how expensive it is getting ready for a show.
Especially back then.
And I thought my career was hanging in the balance. And I didn't know what was going to be in front of me, but I did know a few months later, 5 months later, they were going to do it all again in September at the Mr. Olympia in Chicago. And I rolled the dice. I went in, and I got third place. I went from 13th to third.
I was telling.
He did all right, Ron. Listen, he spent the next 12 years in the top 5 of the Olympia going for the title. So he rebounded just fine.
I was telling Shawn earlier, I had to remind him, I said, I started training in 1990.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And so
that was the year.
Lee Haney was my first Mr. Olympia, and Shawn Ray was my first Arnold Classic champion, and I had pictures of him on my binder in high school and pictures of all the champs,
Bob.
I had pictures of him too from the teenage nationals that we competed at, as he beat my ass for the title. Which I'm still pissed about, but to this day.
No politics.
But like Peaches and Herb, we're reunited and we feel so good.
That's the reason Bob still trains.
That's why he moved to Georgia, by the way.
I still think I got rooked on that one there.
1985, I'll never let you forget.
1985 Teen Nationals. That's how far back
we
go.
He was so butthurt that he moved to Georgia 30 years later.
Yeah. Right. That's funny. No, it's good memories. Those early days, I remember that 1990 Olympia. I remember cutting all the pictures out of Flex. It was Haney, Labrada, Ray. Yeah. Fourth was Christian. Mike Christian, was he fourth?
I think at the Olympia.
Yeah.
No,
fifth maybe. He was up in that group.
Rich Gaspari was in fifth place in 1990.
Hard to remember that.
Fourth place, was it Ben Fato?
Oh, damn. No. I'd have to refresh my memory
Ben
now.
Fato?
No. Yeah, no.
What year are we talking?
90. Drug tested.
Oh, the drug testing year.
You're talking about the Arnold or the Olympia?
The Olympia.
Yeah.
You're talking about Olympia?
Olympia, yeah.
So we're getting old. I mean, third place.
There's no way you're.
We got to bring this up on.
There you go.
Got to bring it up the phone now. We're getting old, bro.
I was third place in 1990.
Yeah.
Rada was second.
Yeah. Second
Lee
place.
Haney won. You got the top three.
Gaspari was in fifth. Who the hell was in fourth?
You had Stridham.
It was Mike Christian.
Mike Christian.
Yeah,
I believe you're right.
I remember the first time I saw you, Bob. You were training with Tom.
Oh yeah.
At Gold's Venice.
Tom
Prince. Yeah.
Missed my buddy.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw you. I was down there with my friend from Australia who'd qualified for the O, and we were out at the gym, and you guys were talking to us, and I remember just thinking like, oh shit, this is Bob and Tom.
Yeah.
Tom was a monster.
He was a monster.
So here's a great Tom Prince story for you guys, right? This was Tom. He was so quirky, but I loved him to death, right? We're training once, right? I moved to California. We became training partners. We're at Gold's gym training. All right, we're doing some shoulders, whatever, right? We get to the last exercise, and some kid was on the machine that we wanted, right? He says, how many you got? Kids, I'm just starting. So Tom says, all right, no problem, right? He grabs his gym bag, and he starts walking, right? So I'm like, all right, I guess we're done, right? It was like the last exercise. He starts walking towards the back door. You could park in the back at that time. So I'm like, all right, well, I think we're done. We're going to go to the firehouse and get a Bob ball, right? I go out the door. We get in his car. He starts driving the opposite way. I'm like, where the hell's he going? Right?
He's going to Worlds.
We drove to World's Gym. Can't make this shit up. We drove to World's Gym, went in, got on this piece of equipment to finish our set.
Dedication.
We got 3 more sets to on this piece.
Who does this?
Tom.
It's like 10 blocks, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was. But then we went to the firehouse and got a Bob bowl. But
He was quirky.
I'm like, I had no idea where he was. I thought we were done. You know, I was like,
That
okay.
explains why his legs looked the way they looked.
Well, he was. Let me tell you something about Tommy. He was ungodly strong.
Yeah.
He could put. I would never believe this. On the Smith machine, he could put 5 plates on each side, right? We're doing like incline chest, right?
Yeah.
And start from the bottom. Like, that's what used to freak me out, is I could never do that. My arms are too long, you know what it is.
Yeah.
You got to start at the top, kind of feel your way. Oh, that's how, you know.
Yeah.
He would start at the bottom. I don't even know how you could do it.
Yeah, Tom was something else. Yeah, that was such a great era. You know, that whole 90s era into the early 2000s. It was all the same guys. You know, like that was like that crew that just
What
came
was
through.
cool was Mitsuru had the Battle for the Olympia.
Yeah.
And the Battle for the Olympia tapes, he'd take you behind the curtain, kind of.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys were flossing with their cars. But at the same time, you kind of got a little bit of their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which we never saw before Mitsuru started that.
Yep.
And then we also got a little sneak peek of like what they looked like a week or 10 days or 2 weeks before the
It was
show.
the original raw footage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was not staged. That was who we
I
were.
think, Sean, you hit it perfectly. Like, you literally, we both went to the 87 Nationals, okay? He won. I was in the top 5, but Phil Hill won my category.
Phil Hill. Fan
Sean
of the
went
opera.
on to the pros, right, and all that. But I still think the greatest era of bodybuilding, all things considered, of competition, was 89 to 99.
Yeah.
And it's hard to beat, right? The 90s were good, too, of course, but 89 to 99 was a very difficult time, very good caliber, right? You could even make a case for into the 90s to some degree. But, you know, that 87 Nationals in Atlantic City, man, was loaded.
Yeah, but you did remind me of the class that you were in. Tell me the guys' names in the Nationals.
mine?
That Nationals, was it
Oh,
91?
Jesus. So
Wasn't it like Ronnie?
I got a whole, I got tons of stories, right? But stuff. But I'll give you a brief one though, because it ties in, right? 87 Nationals. We're gonna go to the Nationals. It's in Atlantic City, New Jersey. At the time, I'm in the sheriff's academy, all right, to be a sheriff, deputy sheriff. I couldn't get out early. The whole thing. Anyways, I ended up leaving on Friday at 4 o'clock when I got out of the academy to get to Atlantic City. Right, I'm on a plane. I got the show's going on.
Right.
So when I get there, right, I could have missed my class. I could have already finished. I have no idea. This is my debut, right, for the Nationals. Sean was in the light heavies. I get there. I rush back. Thank God the middleweights were like on stage when I got there, right?
Oh, my God.
Plenty of time, right, to get prepared.
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah. So I make my way to the back, into the day, like a little locker room type thing in the back. The first guy I see is Phil Hill. And I'm like, well, there goes the show. This guy was an animal.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I could see it as clear as it was yesterday.
Yeah.
He was standing there. He had a pair of blue trunks on, and he had some Nike high tops, something like that. And he was standing real wide. And, you know, he was putting like oil or something like that. And I just look and I go, what the hell? Like, what? Who is this guy, right?
Came from the AAU.
Yeah, came from the AAU. Nobody heard of him, right? All right, nobody's beating this guy.
Right.
So we get to the heavyweight class. There's Matt Mendenhall. I saw him there, right? But he was a mess at that point, but God bless him. We've lost half these people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I see Phil Hill, Troy Zuccollato.
Oh, yeah. Zook the Nuke.
Didn't we lose Phil Hill recently?
I don't know. There was some speculation
Oh, I
of
didn't
whether
think
he
so.
died or not. But I can't get any confirmation. But Phil Hill, a guy named Harry Dodich,
Harry.
was around at the time.
Troy Zuccollato.
Troy Zuccollato, Johnny Ray Kinsey, myself.
Ray, wow.
Remember Joe Miko? This was like the infusion of the AAU guys, right? James DeMello. Who else was there from the Glenn Kinnear?
Glenn Kinnear.
Right, these were all like AAU. They all kind of came over to the NPC at that time, but this show was loaded. Now, I'll give you one more brief one. I don't want to take up all the time in 1987, but here's the stuff you didn't see, okay? We get backstage. They pose like the top 8 guys or something like that back then, some weird number, right? But I'm dead last in the order because I couldn't get there until later. We had made provisions with Jim Mannion and the thing, so I'm like number whatever last is. I'm last, right? Yeah. The final 2 guys in the show was Phil Hill and me. Okay.
This is classic. Go ahead.
We get backstage, right? That they got the top guys. We're going to do your posing routine, right? Phil Hill goes out there, and I hear my music.
Oh no!
Right? And I'm like, wait a minute. Please tell me they just didn't put my music. And it's a weird, it's a dramatic, it's a Barbara Streisand song, right?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody in the world will ever have this song, right?
Only Phil.
I hear my music. I go over to the music guy. At the time, they got a tape, right?
Yeah.
That's 1987. And I go, hey, man, did you put my music in? He goes, what number? I go, I'm like, 248, whatever. He goes, no, I got yours right here.
He just happened.
This guy's going to win the show. He's bringing the house down. It's a standing ovation. I can't go out there to the same song.
Could you just put on Back in Black and we'll get it over with?
Tumbleweed's going to be blowing by, right? And I'm like, I go, bro, I got the same song. He's like, oh, sucks to be you,
Oh my God.
I says, give me something else. He's like, what are you talking about, bro? You got to bring your music.
You
Right?
can't pull up Spotify.
You can't make this. You can't make this shit up.
So you went
I
out
go
the
to
same
him
song.
and I go, I got the same music. I can't follow this guy with the same music, right?
He's telling me.
He's going to win.
all
He's
thrown off
killing
his
it, right?
game. Rob's he's blowing up and it's like holding water.
I tell the guy, I go, hey, you guys played a song that was like that, like the in-between music during the intermission or something like that, and I'm humming it to him. No, I kind of went like this, da 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 da, and he's like,
yeah, that song.
all right.
We got it.
I went out. If you watch the tape today, 87 Nationals, heavyweights, there was no supers back then.
Yeah.
The song I posed to, I didn't even know what it was for years. For 10 years, I never knew what it was. I posed to whatever he put on.
Yo, that'll
That's
do.
hilarious.
And, of course, Phil Hill won the show, but this guy beat him for the overall. So there was the beginning of Sugar Shawn Ray, right? That's when it all started, man.
Yeah.
That's funny. So were you driving home going, damn, I didn't even see that light heavyweight. Like,
Well, we knew each other from,
you knew each other
from being
before.
teen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, so
Beat him in 85.
so he beat me in 85 at the teen.
Yeah.
He beats me at the 87. I'm like,
And I graduated.
after that, it was just a short 12 years till I turned
Yeah,
pro.
I waited for him to turn pro. The same year I retired.
Yeah, and then he retired in 2000 when I finally won the USA.
We got the
Oh,
band back
damn.
together. It took us this long to get back together.
Now we're
together.
duking it out for the all-you-can-eat buffets.
Yes.
Damn.
Mutant.
That's it. It's funny to have you guys both sitting here, on Mutant now with us. And, the wealth of knowledge and
The
experience
class
you
of
guys both have.
1965 is
The
what we
class
are.
of 65.
1965.
Yeah,
That's how old
we're
dinosaurs.
basically the same age. He's a little bit older than me.
I'm 4 months older.
4 months older, but
3 months.
we still got this ongoing. Nobody can figure out the Olympia because
Yeah.
we're 58,
Yes.
okay?
Right.
But the Olympia is celebrating its 60th anniversary,
Which started in.
which started in 1965.
Do the math.
So somebody's always trying to think, wait a minute,
Figure it
how
out.
can that be right? It's like, well, there's no year zero, right? That's
Yeah.
Here's the mystery: is like you guys wanted to know who built the pyramids,
Yes.
how did life begin, all that stuff.
Yeah, the Niagara Falls.
What's up with that, right?
Right.
There's no year zero. Okay, so even though we were born in 65, you're not one until 66.
Yeah.
That's the whole annual versus that whole
Right,
thing.
yeah.
But I don't know. We still think we half
We're
got it right.
turning 59, and the Olympia's turning 60 in the
Yeah.
same. It
Right.
started in
Makes
1965.
All right,
Yeah.
makes sense.
So
Yeah.
we're all stuck on trivia.
We don't know.
I love
No, you guys have been around for the whole thing.
Yeah, we witnessed it
Yeah.
all.
What do you when it comes to what you do now, Bob, the voice of bodybuilding? How did that happen? Like, how did you get into the emceeing? How did you wind up? Did you just one day look down and you're like, I'm wearing a sequin jacket and there's
Right.
the Olympia, and
Look
what
at
am I
these
doing here?
shoes.
No, listen. I
Ripped off Liberace.
had to kind of fight my way into the Olympia, and back then Robin Chang was putting it on, and Weeder was still around, right, and all that. And I was a Weider athlete, and I was on board and all that. I had done MC work in local shows, so you know how it is. You've done the same.
Yeah.
Get it right, Bob.
And,
get it right. I'm here to correct him. Go
I
ahead.
was begging. People got short memories. The show was a mess back then when it came to that type of stuff.
Right.
They tried celebrity MCs.
Well, they had Triple H.
Yeah.
Triple H was okay because he loved bodybuilding, but they had Mike Adamle up there. God bless Mike, because we did work with the Gladiators years ago later. But he didn't know bodybuilding. They had Sinbad out there, Dana Carvey, right? They had all these celebrities.
Shit,
but
I forgot about that.
And Ron, you know this because you've emceed a lot of shows. They don't know the industry.
No,
they
it's
don't know
like-
the business. They don't know nothing.
It's
So
like a local show will have a radio DJ.
right. Oh, they're always the worst guy, by the way, the radio guy, because he never knows when to shut up.
Yep.
Because they think they're on the radio. Okay,
got
everybody. Well, you know, how about that?
How long has it been since you had some water?
Just the dumbest questions, right? But
I'm here to check his memory. Go ahead, Bob. I'm listening.
I had to get to Robin Chang. He was doing. I'm begging him, bro. I can do this, Coach. Put me in, right? He finally says, "All right, listen. I'm going to give you a shot. Do the press conference, right?"
Right.
Great. So me and Triple H did the press conference. Had a lot of fun doing that stuff and all that. I did that for a year or two. I can't remember what it was. And then he finally gave me my shot. And me and Shawn, once again, we've been connected for years, right?
I helped behind this. I had done it the year before Bob arrived. I said I need help because I couldn't get my hands around
Sucked.
the gravity of it all. It wasn't in my wheelhouse, but I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It was a bucket list thing.
Yeah.
I emceed the Olympia. Then we started talking about Bob. Well, I had brought Bob and Dan when they did Pro Bodybuilding Weekly to my show.
The OG bodybuilding podcast.
They
They were
the
doing,
original.
Yeah, they were doing Pro Bodybuilding
Pro
Weekly.
Bodybuilding Weekly.
I used to listen to every single
So I took
episode.
these guys out of the gutter and I put them on my stage. I put them on my stage
Appreciate
in
that,
Colorado. So I had them do their radio show on stage as MCs at my contest in 2006.
So, yes, for Colorado.
And it looked, I loved it, right? And I could see clearly they can carry the show. That's when I was lobbying for some help. When Bob came up, I disappeared in his shadow on stage as we co-MC'd the Olympia. And that's where I go.
Is that like a black? What do you
Take
mean?
it, Bob.
Is that like a black reference, like in my shadow type of thing?
I kicked you
You
into
are
I kicked you into this industry.
Racist
I felt
bastard.
bad
you
for
are.
what I did to him on stage. I kicked
There
him
it
into
is.
the.
Just
Ron, you wanted an answer.
and my shadow.
We don't need to be here, Dusty.
Hey,
They could
right?
just argue.
Watching
You
Listen
wanted
here.
to know how it got started.
So-
I kicked
Yeah.
him into the thing.
I'm doing the press conference. I bring Dan in, so we kind of combined to do a Pro Bodybuilding Weekly-esque
Yes.
Yeah.
press conference,
Yeah.
which was
Right.
great.
And the
you know.
vibe.
Well, it was very good. We bumped up. The old press conferences were boring as boring could be.
They were.
Wayne DeMille up there talking stupid, right, and all that. So we changed up the whole format. It was way better. Then, like Shawn says, I got kind of promoted.
Yes.
And he says, okay, listen, you and Shawn are going to do the Olympia.
Right.
And I'm like, great. Finally we get to kind of do our shtick. And we did. We did that for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they just decided to make a change with that. We didn't
Well,
really
no. I wound up leaving Weider for muscular development.
That's right. That's
When
right.
I left for muscular
yeah.
development, the redheaded stepchild, I couldn't do both with Weider because Weider owned the Olympia.
Yeah,
But I was
yeah.
glad to step aside because it's a lot of work, and that was what he does.
Yeah, yeah,
I was endorsing Bob from day one. It wasn't
No,
something
this is
I
true.
wanted to
Yeah,
do.
no, Shawn. He's like, hey,
I'm a
that's your
media
guy.
guy.
He's got the voice. The
Yes.
whole thing. But that's where the whole thing started with the voice of bodybuilding. Oh, you're the guy with the voice.
Yeah.
It's like-
Yeah.
The funniest thing is, no matter where I go, for some odd reason, people think like they'll look like I'll be saying something in a restaurant, and I'll see somebody will be like,
They hear the
turn
voice.
around and
They
be like,
hear the voice.
hey.
He's Whitney Houston.
you're the Olympia guy. But they're like, yeah, that's your real voice.
yeah.
I'm
That's
like,
your real voice.
well, what did you think it was, right? I think they think it's like a radio.
Radio
Hey,
guy.
everybody,
Michael
we're
Jackson.
Strip club DJ.
Like
we're on KSEX over here, everybody. I tip
how
your
Prince
waitresses.
WNBC.
WIFBB. But
Yeah.
they think it's like, no, that's your real voice. I'm like, yeah, that's
Just
That's
how
it.
he talks.
Nobody sounds like that.
yes. I speak like that at home.
I gotta
Ladies and gentlemen, kids at the table, are you ready to eat?
I gotta ask you a question. You mentioned the press conference, and I used to go to the press conference at the O before I came with Mutant. I went myself every year as a fan.
Sure.
So I would go to the press conference. I'd go to the meet and greet, all that stuff, like get tickets for the show, And I started going to the O in 2002. So I saw the Triple H stuff. I saw you. I saw all those.
I was there.
Yeah, you
On
bet.
stage.
Yeah. So I remember having a vodka OJ with Triple H at the bar one night, like just randomly. I was like, I'm having a drink with Triple H. I couldn't believe it. And but I got to ask you, there's been some moments where there's been some what appeared to be real tension at the press conference.
No, I'll give you all the insights.
Yeah. What to you is like the most volatile thing that you kind of had to deal with? Did you ever have to kind of, I got to make sure nothing happens here? Have you ever had anything like that happen?
It's actually the complete opposite. For years, it's like pulling teeth to get these guys to say anything.
Yeah.
Because the most boring thing in the world for any of us as fans, right, is to go somewhere and hear somebody say, well, I'm just here to bring my best package and do the best I can do.
A million times.
I'm not really in competition with anybody else. It's like people are falling asleep, man. This is ether. I'm like, guys. So I used to have to do like a pep talk backstage to get people to. It's like, look, we're selling tickets. It's still a show.
Right.
Okay. It can't be. Don't give me the. I'm just here to do the best. My package. I've heard my package so many times. I want to get FedEx on as a sponsor to the event, but it's like, look, nobody cares about that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So. I would do enough to get people to kind of come out a little bit. But we had some great characters back then, too. Melvin Anthony.
Yeah, even Nasser.
Quincy.
Marvelous Melvin.
All those type of guys.
Kamali.
King Kamali, my old buddy. Yeah. My Mama Luke buddy King, he always brought it. Craig Titus, right? We had all these characters, which was entertaining as it was. So you didn't have to do a lot. But all those moments are real. Nothing was ever scripted. It's the most common question that I always get.
The ponytail flip on stage at the Olympia scared me. You know what I'm saying?
That was fun.
That was the only moment on stage
I thought
where
shit
I
was
going to
go down. Yeah.
No, that was real. Again, everybody thinks all the stuff at the press conference, you guys put him up to that. It's like, no, listen. All that stuff's real. The pony hair, the flip on stage to Phil.
Let's set the stage. So it's Kai and Phil. And I think Kai, before the press conference, had been going around signing Mr. Olympia.
Yes, that's exactly what he was doing.
Phil was pissed.
Yeah. That's disrespectful. I don't care. Listen, I'm old school. You don't sign a title you haven't earned.
Right.
Even now, not to derail you from this conversation, but I got a real pet peeve of that even today with people using the title. If you won the men's physique Olympia, you're not Mr. Olympia.
Yep.
Right.
If you're Sean Clarita, God bless him, he's one of our own, right?
12, you're not.
He's not Mr. Olympia.
That's not the title.
That's not the title,
Get
right?
it right.
Don't abbreviate.
It's a very specific title, and people like Sean should take offense to that because he was fighting for this title. Should have had one, by the way.
I've never signed Mr. Olympia.
94.
You don't sign your name to a title you didn't earn.
You don't do that.
So he had every right to be pissed off at Kai.
Well, Phil had heard that Kai was doing that, and then he visually saw that he was doing it at the press conference. They were going back and forth over that, and I think Phil was really fired up. It carried over to was it prejudging?
Prejudging.
I think Big Steve was calling out the comparisons, and Kai Greene had flipped his ponytail. This is on YouTube.
It's amazing.
You got to go to YouTube. What year was that? We're getting old.
In 2013 or 14.
It's there on YouTube.
Yep.
Anyway, Kai flips his ponytail, hits Phil with it.
14, I think.
Then they start elbowing each other, and it was on. I thought it was going down.
No, listen, it could have been going down because if you watch the video back before the ponytail flip, I think he got it like an elbow into him, right? And you can see Phil kind of laughed it off. Okay, buddy, here we go. The ponytail was kind of like the last straw type of thing, and that's what Phil's like. Hey,
and
man.
people got to remember that's a big, heavy, long braid.
Well, he did it on purpose.
Yeah, it was a smack. Yeah.
He's trying to get in Phil's head. Yeah. The problem with Phil is you can't get in his head. The guy played D1 basketball. He's used to trash talk and all that stuff. You live on
Mr.
it.
Olympia.
You're not going to get into his head. If anything, it backfired on Kai. But I think the best moment of any press conference, and everybody thinks it was scripted, and it was absolutely not, was when I asked Kai, give me 3 reasons why you beat Phil.
Yeah, I love that.
And he goes, well, and then he started some Kai answer. Well, let's see.
The sky is blue.
Give me 3 reasons
Oh my
why.
God, it's going to take forever.
It's a beautiful day. It's like, Kai, hey, yo, right there, buddy. And he finally did it. Well, I'm 40 pounds heavier. I got that, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Phil, give me 3 reasons why you beat Kai. And without hesitation, he goes, 2011, 2012, 2013.
Boom! Mic drop. It's over.
And the place goes nuts. This was not scripted. I didn't give this to Phil.
No.
But
great time.
We had done enough stuff that we were on the same page. And the second I asked him, he knew exactly where I was going. And he delivered on the spot. The place went absolutely nuts. And the rest is history.
I don't think we've ever seen that kind of back and forth in a press conference since.
No.
Yeah.
The energy's not there. I don't think the guys are even in the right headspace.
Well, they're too nice.
Yeah.
They're too nice, honestly.
Fans used to be able to ask questions, and they don't now.
Do we need another great, borderline vicious rivalry. Do we need another one?
I mean, every great sport,
Absolutely.
right? You got Bird and Magic. You got There's all kinds of,
It's nice to have
Ali and Frazier. I mean, any great sport has a rivalry.
And we go up. There's peaks and valleys. There's good years and bad years, but I don't know. I don't even know if that we need the press conference if the fans aren't going to be involved.
Right.
I think the fans, that's their chance to ask
But the
questions.
athlete's got to make it fun, too.
The athlete's got to make it fun.
Well,
Remember Jose? I mean, he always had great hair.
Jose, can you see?
But remember, we have a lot of, there's too many divisions to be represented. You got the wheelchair, you got the wellness. Some of these people don't even speak English.
Right.
So
Right.
you lose
True,
there's a
yeah.
lot that's lost in translation. I think we got to figure out what we're doing with that press conference.
I would love to completely revise it. If it was up to me,
Do it
and
overall.
I'm not part of the Olympia committee, so to say, and all that, but I would literally turn it more like into a talk show format. I'd have like the Tonight Show desk up there with the mug with the Olympia logo.
Bring them out
And I would bring them out in smaller groups because when you bring
3
out
guys.
35 people,
Too many.
if you've noticed, people are falling asleep.
And
And
they
then
gotta
you
go
got
to the
a chair
bathroom,
and then a couch for the people that already
I'm
spoke.
running just like this.
Let's bring out our wellness.
This is
Bring
what
out
I would
the
have,
girls.
right? And
Bring out our physique.
I'd bring the champ out, maybe his rival, then maybe there's 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe you got that friends type of setup where you got the stools behind, so there's like 6 of them.
Right. Show.
But you
Show.
could get to who you got to get to specifically.
3 or 4.
Go to commercial, right?
Come back with the next
Rotate.
5.
Just bring out the next crew.
Yeah.
So you'd have to make some choices as to who you're going to
Well, you
have
bring
on.
out the top guys.
Bring out
They
the
earned
top
it.
guys
You
from the
could-
last
Ron,
round.
you could do just as many because you're just bringing them in smaller groups.
Yeah.
Where everybody's not falling asleep up there in their chicken. You know what I mean? Trying to stay
And the
awake.
girls got hair and makeup. These guys
Yeah.
are dehydrated.
The girls-
Speed it up.
The girls hate it. The girls hate it. They've always hated it. We actually got rid of it for a couple of years because we actually put it to vote for the girls, and all of them were like, "No, we don't want. Let the guys do this stuff. They got hair, they got makeup, they got tanning to do, they got all these. They don't want to be up there talking. They're not going to talk trash.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
format that Bob's talking about. I think it interjects some new energy, new life into it.
I mean, what-
And then you
what-
can have the new guys come out, right?
What bikini chick's going to talk trash?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about Isabel
How do
here,
your
okay?
glutes look? You got better glutes
You're
than me?
going down.
Who did your hair?
What kind of hair is that? It's two-tone. It doesn't even match. I can
Your
see your
trainer
weave.
sucks.
It's two-tone.
see your
I
weave.
can tell this is actually a thing. She had two-tone hair.
Your Instagram sucks.
Yeah, I mean, this is not going to happen, right?
Yeah, it's hard to create a rivalry like that, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
change.
I would redesign it. I would actually get rid of it from where it is right now, and I would put it at the Meet the Olympians.
Yes.
So here's a question for you. It comes down to rivals. You had a very long career at the very top. Who would be, you say, your most vicious rival?
I mean, you got to go down the whole top 5 because you had to get ready for Flex.
Yeah.
You had to get ready for Dorian. You had to deal with Kevin. I mean, Nasser. They were all rivals. I mean, we all took turns moving up and down behind Dorian, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Dorian was the benchmark, so we really couldn't look at beating Dorian. It was like, if I can beat Kevin, I can have a shot at Dorian. If I can beat
Right.
Flex, I can have a shot at Dorian. So
Right.
I don't think we were rivals because we were all friends.
Yeah,
I trained
yeah.
with Flex. I knew Kevin. The only
Right.
one we didn't know was Dorian. So when I realized I was off, I'm cheering for Flex or I'm cheering for Kevin, trying to bring that title back to America. None of us liked Dorian. Dorian wanted nothing to do with us. We were all prima donnas in his eyes.
Right.
We didn't like seeing us driving around in nice cars and
Right.
hanging out in Muscle Beach. He didn't like any of that
It's
California
a big
stuff.
part of what drove him.
Yeah.
Was
He'll
just
tell you.
keeping that mindset.
He was like Mr. T in Rocky, right?
Yeah, he was.
He's lifting in a dungeon
Yeah.
that's called the dungeon, right?
Yeah.
There's no light that gets in there, right? You're in the UK. It's miserable all the time, right?
Yeah.
And that's just this guy was
Like he used it as fuel.
He was meat and potatoes, man.
He didn't want to do like interviews and the Hollywood stuff, but Kevin and Flex and Chris, we kind of all looked at each other and we wanted to kind of outdo each other. Every time you saw Battle for the Olympia, someone pulled up in a different car.
Right, yeah.
You saw the rims, you're like, oh, I got to
Yeah.
get those rims. We were competing with each other, and then there was Dorian. So we were all rivals. I don't think we could put one guy ahead of the other because if I focused on Flex, his track record wasn't really good in the Olympia. He was going up and down. And then
Right.
here's Kevin with 4 first runner-ups, right? And then Jay comes along and screws everything up for us. So
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what screwed stuff up is legit. You should have beaten Dorian. What was it, 95? I think
94.
was or 94.
yeah, that was a nice argument.
Which was your best
for
that
me.
you thought?
I thought 94 was a good.
I think it was
good
94.
opportunity. Only because, again, like Jay says he didn't beat Ronnie. He caught Ronnie when he was off. I thought I caught Dorian when he was off. Forget
Right.
about his size, but there were things that we can criticize him about.
Right.
I only got criticized for being short and small.
Right.
But nobody was criticizing my physique.
That was always
Yeah.
the same.
And so that's kind of where I came from, which is why Labrada was so successful, which is why Muhammad bin Aziza and Muhammad Makaway. So you couldn't criticize them other than the fact that they were small.
What do you guys think about? And you get a real good look at this. You're the best seat in the house.
Sure.
I feel like in the last few years, we've started seeing more than ever champs getting beat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Like
I
last
mean,
night.
Yeah,
Like
like
last night we
last
saw
night.
Raymondino get beat.
And Dusty and I have talked about how we think this is really good
Yeah.
for
It
bodybuilding
is.
generally.
Oh. I wish that was like that in the 90s.
Yeah. You know, how do you think there was actually a conscious change to like make
Well,
sure you don't?
Back up.
Yeah, hang on.
Change comes when people change.
Yes.
That Wesley guy was a legit threat last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At prejudging, I thought this guy's probably going to win. I'm glad they actually did it.
Yeah.
Because no one complained about the victory.
Right.
When they complain about a champion winning, that's when we have a problem. That change happened because he improved so
Yeah.
dramatically.
Yeah.
Raymondino kind of looked the same, but Wesley made improvements and he got rewarded. So we got to applaud that.
Do you think there used to be sort of that got to knock out the champ mentality, and that has somehow been like, you know what, that's not good for things?
Oh, listen,
Yeah.
it was horrible for the sport for
horrible,
years.
yes.
With all due respect to the champs, whatever. You don't have to knock out the champ. You got to beat him by 1 point.
Yes.
I've always hated that knock out the champ thing. It's like, this is bodybuilding. You got to present a better physique.
I think
Half a
the judges are
What
listening.
I
now.
don't like is there was a stretch of time that the judges would just vote for the incumbent.
Didn't matter.
It didn't really seem to matter, like Dorian was a
Yeah,
great
it
example,
didn't
right?
matter.
With all due respect to Dorian, again, listen, he earned most of his titles,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's not his fault. He's not judging himself.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you had a physique, just let's use you as an example,
Hey,
right? Because you're
again.
right here.
Yeah.
So I got to talk nice about you. Well, but listen, Shawn,
As soon as you leave, though.
arguably at his best all time, which was very formidable, right? And then you had Dorian again, a little patch, got some injuries, torn bicep, waist is a little blown out, a little blocky looking, right? Which is the best physique?
Didn't matter.
Now, this should be a no-brainer, but don't give it to the champ just because he's the champ.
Right.
This is, listen, you know, people used to think this was like either not scripted, but like there's politics involved, right? And I said for years, if this is contrived, then these are the biggest idiots on this earth. You
right.
think it's good for business to have an 8-time champ?
But now let me
Yeah.
tell you something.
No.
Andrea Shaw won every one of her 4.
Oh, yeah,
four
yeah,
Olympics.
yeah.
She's probably going to win number 5.
Well,
That little Sid,
yeah, I mean, this
Sid
is
Gillen,
even-
I think she's won 6 or
Yep,
7.
yep.
But no
Arguably-
one's arguing, though.
Nobody's arguing that. So there are champions that are legitimately
Absolutely,
crushing
yeah.
it. That girl that won the wellness, what's her name?
Francielli.
I mean,
Yeah, she's
there's no argument for me.
3-time Olympia champ and now an Arnold champ, and she's great. But listen, but she's beatable. She's very good.
Yeah.
But man, there's some other girls. Listen, you talk about Brazil. I mean, they're bringing it.
That's
right?
a crazy division.
You just call it the
It's-
Brazil division.
yeah,
They're all
it's
from
nuts.
Brazil.
It's
Right.
nuts.
Even if they're living in the
They're
U.S.,
all
they were from
champions.
Brazil, right?
They all win in my book.
Of course, yeah. Sean had a 5-way tie for first.
I forgot
But
about
I think what you're going to see, Ron, I think the day of the dynasty is over.
It's over, yeah.
I don't think in our lifetime we're going to see a 7 or 8 or 9-time champ.
We might see it with Andrea Shaw.
No, I'm talking men's.
You're talking
Okay,
Men's
talking
open.
men's bodybuilding.
Men's bodybuilding, no.
Yeah, I'm not
no way.
because listen, you got Sydney Gillen's got
Yeah.
7. She's got no signs
I-
of slowing down.
I think that for me, seeing Sean Roden beat Phil Heath.
Was it?
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
That was it was still very questionable to me.
I still thought. Listen, Phil was not his best, but he still beat Shawn Roden in my book. Shawn, with all due respect to the departed, listen, great physique and all, but lacking in arms, lacking in chest,
Yeah.
lacking in his arms were
Phil
nowhere
was
near
off,
as
though.
Phil's.
Phil was off. The
Phil was
midsection.
off.
But an off Phil was still better than an on Roden in my book.
I
I didn't like that call.
I felt like that was the end of
change.
the
cycle.
That was the end
Yeah.
of like
The problem
the 7,
is
8.
that Phil set the table himself
Seven.
because he came in off the year before with the
Yes.
midsection.
Yeah, and
It
he
was
knew
still, it wasn't enough to take him out,
He didn't
but
fix
duly noted, right?
Yep.
When he came back the second
They
year
had to
against
take it away.
Roden,
They had
it
to
wasn't any better. They weren't going to give him a pass a second time.
That's
why.
Now, I still think he was better. I still think he beats Roden heads up. Front double by, front
Wow.
but the
Back
midsection is distracting,
I just
right?
think the midsection killed it for him. So
Yeah.
you can't reward that. That's not improvement. Whereas I thought for Shawn, it was the best we've seen him, even though his physique is not genetically superior.
Right, true.
Like Wesley last night,
Right.
he just nailed it at the right time for him.
Do you think that with the men's open, because men's open has become what it is,
Yeah.
bodybuilding has become what it is, the 7, 8-time champ, it's simply not sustainable.
Not to mention
Gone.
the age. These guys are not young.
Yeah.
No.
Right? These are older
Let
guys.
me tell you something.
Retiring
The
at
average,
31.
the average mean age has gone up about 10 or almost 12 years.
Let me tell you, when I was there
in
in
our
the
days,
all of the guys were teenage national champions. I mean, Flex was a teen champion, Chris Cormier, Jay Cutler, Branch Warren. None of these guys are starting in their teens as champions.
The guys turning pro were older. 20. Shane DeMore was 19, right? Yeah. You were 21.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of norm back then, right?
Gaspari was 20.
Guys are now 31 plus turning pro.
They don't have the longevity.
It's a different look, but I don't see anybody on the horizon. Maybe you do, but I don't. That could go on a 5, 6, 7, 8 run. No. With all due respect to Derek Lunsford, great champion, looks fantastic. But him and Hottie could go back and forth a few years.
That could easily be an interruption there.
Right?
That title's up for grabs.
And if Sampson comes in on, he beats both of them.
Yeah. Right. And that's the big if. That brings us to last night.
Last night.
But it's a 48-hour show. So literally what we saw last night, does it even count for today? Because if he comes in here dry tonight, it kind of changes the game.
What did you have?
I don't like the 2-day show.
I don't either. I've always liked a 1-day format.
Yeah. 1 day. You know, I don't, because if Hottie comes in a little bit soft, Sampson comes in a little bit hard, it changes what happened last night.
Well, this is all. Sampson's destiny is in his hands only. He's got a superior physique. Let's just call it what it is. Better symmetry, better proportion, better shape.
The most complete.
He's 30 pounds heavier, right?
Yeah,
he's 6 foot tall.
Sampson has that classic, like freak front relaxed.
Well, he can
6
carry
foot
it with
tall
his,
frame.
He can carry it with his height, whereas Hottie's a little bit boxy.
The difference, if these two came, here's this sums it up perfectly. But not barring last night, but if these two came in 100% dead on the money for them, right? Sampson would win 10 times out of 10.
But right now, as of right this minute, Hottie's winning this show.
He could be.
Yeah.
Because the difference is Sampson cannot afford, I've said this in other interviews before.
A potato.
If Sampson comes in 95%, he wins the show. Okay? He doesn't have to be 100%. He's got to be 95%. You can't lose that much ground because Hottie Chupan
is hard.
He's got a great muscle. And let's face it, he's not that bad when it comes to like symmetry, proportion, shape. Right. He's not as good as Sampson, but he's not. It's not like this guy's a box, right? He won the Olympia for God's sakes.
Yeah.
If Sampson comes in at 90%, which is about where he was, right? That door is open. Hottie Chupan might win it.
But right now, Hottie's winning the show.
I still remember the year that Hottie got third and won the People's Champ. I actually thought he was going to win the whole show.
I was with you on that. I agreed with you on that one.
Yeah,
I would have had no problem with that.
I know everyone's like, well, he's only 223, and I'm like, well,
so
if you would have told me that, I wouldn't have known.
You wouldn't have known. It's totally optical.
When's the scale round on stage? I don't remember that.
Yeah, the scale round.
Yeah, when's this? I think it's next to the bench press round.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring the
how
challenge round
How
back.
big were Lee Labrada's arms?
That was the biggest mess up.
How big were Lee Labrada's arms, or even Chris Dickerson for that? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
It's just an illusion.
There's no tape measure on stage. This is bodybuilding. What you see is what you judge.
But I guarantee you, Sampson is doing some dramatic stuff right now because he knows he's trailing.
Yeah.
Right. So it begs the question, what's Hottie doing? He can't take his foot off the gas.
No.
So he might even be drier, or he might overdo it and spill over.
I suspect both guys will be drier tonight. They usually are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that's the danger of our sport. This 48-hour show shit is for the birds.
Yeah.
These bodybuilders, they're waiting until... What time were they on stage last night? 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock,
yeah.
I mean, they should have been on at noon. So we're not seeing... That's why the 90s...
And we won't finish with it until tonight, so they're probably looking at maybe 10 o'clock on stage tonight.
Our prejudging was at noon, so all I had time for was basically breakfast. Right. These guys get smoother and smoother as the hours go by. We're not seeing the best of what we can see. And it is science for these guys.
Yeah. What would be, back to the best seat in the house thing that I was talking about, what would be an example of one of the most dramatic flips you've ever seen at the O?
Oh, this is an easy one, actually. Gustavo Bedell. I watched go from 8th place to 3rd.
And again, we're going rest in peace.
Rest in peace. I know. Yeah. It's like I say, it's sad because we've now been around long enough that half the people we're talking about are gone. But it is what it is. But Gustavo Bedell was in 8th or 9th. And every round he got better, and every round they moved him up. And I got to give the judges credit because they take a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But you got to give him credit when it's due. They let him work his way up. They kept calling him out, and they recognized, like, wait a minute, I think this guy looks a little bit. Oh, no, then they did another call. Then he ended up. That was the year he ended up in 3rd place at the Olympia. That's the most dramatic catch-up I've ever.
The more he posed, the better he got. Some bodybuilders don't get that opportunity.
No, they usually go the other way.
They go the other way, and they let the other guys try to come up. But Gustavo did fight for that one.
I see more and more guys melting on stage, which is
what I will tell you.
Bad call.
My last Olympia, Jay Cutler was winning after prejudging. He was up by 6 points.
Yeah.
That was the year Ronnie Coleman basically said he was on his deathbed.
Yeah, buddy.
And was ready to go to the hospital and wasn't able to move.
I heard he was drinking like a gallon of Gatorade.
And guess what? At the night show, it looked that way because he couldn't control his midsection. He had hydrated so much that I thought he got smoother.
Right.
Which is why I thought, why didn't Jay win this show?
Jay should have won in 2001 all day long.
But had he won that show, it came out later that he failed the diuretic test. Jay Cutler.
It
came out later. They didn't take the title off him. They didn't take the prize money. So here I am complaining again because I was 4th place. I should have been 3rd. Jay should have been disqualified. This sport sucks.
You know, for some reason, you always get the short end of the stick.
I'm getting the short end.
No pun intended.
And people wonder why I'm pissed off. I got a chip on my shoulder. Yeah, Jay got lucky. But he should have beat Ronnie in 2001, truth be told.
I agree.
Right. What about the opposite? You ever see anybody, you've emceed a lot of other shows, not just Olympia, but you ever see anyone where you're like, damn, he messed up. He's going to lose this show tonight.
Well, here, listen, I'll give you one that's a little bit of controversial, but people like to refer to Victor Martinez as the uncrowned 2007 Mr. Olympia, right?
He won the Arnold Classic that year.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm from here to him. I'm the closest guy to these people, even more than the judges, all right? Yeah. I got a better view, not better view, but I could see their conditioning and all that.
Yes.
When Victor came out, he was kicking ass.
Yeah, he
was dead on the money. He was good. But every round that they came, he got softer and softer and softer.
Yeah.
So is he the uncrowned? Should he have beaten, that year?
Everyone sees that one photo of him.
I mean, listen, the first round he was great, but then he started to spill.
It happened.
And it got worse and worse and worse as he went. Listen, you got to make it through the entire prejudging. So is he the uncrowned? No, he's not. I hate to say it. I love Victor.
Yeah.
Great bodybuilder, right, and all that stuff. But he didn't keep it throughout, and that's why he lost it. Jay in 2001, I got winning. Yeah. I mean, you can make a case, unfortunately, in a lot of years for a lot of different champs, but that's why they play the game.
Yeah. Now, both of you guys have caught heat for telling it like it is, giving your opinion.
Don't tell the truth.
What?
Don't tell the truth.
Bob's like, I never get any heat from anybody.
Yeah.
How do you embrace that?
Well, I mean, for me I sleep well at night. I don't want to go back and apologize for stuff. I apologized one time with a gun to my head because I told the truth. I said I'll never do that again because that was a bad look, having to go and try to take back something that you really meant.
Right.
If you're critiquing a bodybuilder and you're giving your opinion, it's just an opinion. I'm not a judge.
Right.
But having to go back and apologize because people don't want to hear the truth, that's a tough thing to do. But the context is, it's an inclusive sport. And I got to be mindful when I'm critiquing a bodybuilder. They have wives, they have brothers and sisters, they have family and friends, and they're paying for the pay-per-view or a lot of money to come and watch. And then they go home and they listen to it, and they hear maybe their hero or their idol not giving positive critique. It's just, here's what's wrong with this person. I've always used this phrase, the guy's not ready for prime time. Some people wind up in the Olympia and they don't deserve to be there.
Right.
Or they blew the opportunity because they knew they weren't going to be very good, so they smooth out and they come in looking like garbage.
Listen,
so I tell them they look like garbage and then I catch heat. But as I've gotten older, I've tempered some of my critique because I realize, they do have family and friends. This is maybe a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And if you got to the Olympia, you qualified to get there, there's a certain respect you got to give the guys. I'm guilty of just like calling it like it is sometimes.
The times have changed, and the problem with today is social media, excuse the language, have turned pussies into everybody.
Yeah.
You can't give a critique that's fair and accurate, or you're a hater.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean a hater? Listen, I'm just giving you my opinion.
We don't even know these guys.
We're paid to give our opinions on what's going on.
Yeah.
The problem is now you got to curtail it.
And you got to
You can't say somebody sucks.
Yeah, and if they do, you got to tell them why they look good.
The other problem is everybody's got 5,000 of the closest friends, or they're Instagram famous,
come
right?
after you.
So they're used to people coddling them and tell them how you got screwed, man. Yeah, you got the raw end of the deal, man. That was bullshit. It's like, no.
Yeah.
No, listen, he didn't. He got beat, okay?
Yeah.
Is that possible? You could just get beat because somebody was better?
Yeah.
Right.
Or you got to get screwed all the time, and it's politics. Politics. The funniest thing is when I hear about politics at the local. What's the politics there?
Yeah,
I
They
don't
don't even know who these people are.
I gained nothing. They
They don't even know their names. This ain't the pros, or there's contracts, or maybe there's things, or there's other stuff. This is some NPC show that these judges are rolling into.
For
all they
free.
know is the
Sometimes
number.
if you like one guy, then you hate the other guy.
You're number 416. That's all they know. They don't know who you are, who trains you, who does this.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I'm telling you, social media has destroyed the type of thing like this because you have to watch and be mindful. You can critique, but you got to be a little softer with it, and you got to use certain language.
I gave Derek props for winning the Olympia, and then all the Hotties fans came after me because I said, "Hey, I think Derek should have won."
Listen,
and all the Persians came for me.
I took heat. Again, you can't make this up. I took heat, and you can. I tell you, I can prove this. You can go to my Instagram, and look back after the Olympia. I took heat from a lot of the Iranian fans because I announced Derek is the winner,
the champion. So they wanted to light him up.
How dare you announce?
Yeah. How many?
What are you supposed to do?
He needed a personal bodyguard after the Olympia.
I didn't pick it. I just
Right. Have you ever been shocked when you get that piece of paper? What's the most shocking thing? Like, I know what it's like to MC a show. I assume the Olympia is pretty much the same.
Sometimes.
They hand you a
The
piece
box
of
of
paper.
chocolates.
You turn it over and you
know.
look at that top 5 and you're
guess.
like, whoa.
Well, I can tell you this in fairness, and again, this is some good. It's a great question, Ron, for some behind-the-scenes stuff. Okay, because people don't realize this. I get the results, fairly. Obviously, I'm the first guy to get them, right?
Yeah.
And I have turned that paper and went, whoa, okay. Now, I will tell you.
Is this a mistake?
And this has happened more in the last, I would say 7-8 years than it has before that. And I got to give credit to, Big Steve Weinberger and the current crop of judges, Tyler Mann, because they will call it as they see it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, Ron, how many times I've turned that paper over, seen what I've seen,
Is
right?
this correct?
And now we're going through the thing, but I'll look down and all of a sudden I'll get one of these
Yeah, they want to rejudge
from Big
it.
Steve, right?
Rescore.
Or Steve will say, it's real close, we're going to rejudge it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 1 and 2 change. And we've had current champions that has changed
They've
literally
lost hundreds of thousands.
in the 11th hour.
Like at the night show at like 11 o'clock at night.
This is at the night show, right before the finals. Again,
Yeah.
that's why we have the confirmation round of scoring. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, we've had 2 or 3 changes
Yeah.
that I was like, oh, okay, and then it's like, well, hang on. And then I'll get if they start coming up with a paper, I know
Especially
somebody's changing.
Men's physique. It's very competitive.
Yeah.
But listen, I applaud that because it shows that the judges are doing their job.
Right.
It shows that they are paying attention. And the reason that we put the confirmation on in years ago was because when we used to do the prejudging, and then that was kind of it for everybody knew the night show was this
finals.
for show, right, and all that kind of stuff. The problem is guys would go out and eat pizza and stuff, right, because they knew it wasn't worth nothing at night. And then they come back all smoothed out.
Yeah.
And then here I am announcing somebody, and they're going,
Smooth.
how did this guy beat? What are you kidding me?
Ronnie Coleman,
So the fans would go crazy, and they finally says, "You look at, that's enough. We're going to make the
ain't over
confirmation. The
till
night
it's
show's
over."
going to count for something."
Yeah.
And it had to be a confirmation round because you can't score posing routines.
Yeah, the posing round doesn't count for anything anymore.
I've been arguing with people for years about that, like Milos.
Where did Derek Lunsford pose to last year? He won the Olympia. Give me the song.
Yeah.
But how amazing is
he
it? that I
posted a winning song.
But how amazing is it that I can remember the music from Arnold Schwarzenegger
Right.
winning
Well,
back
the second he said Phil Hill,
1980.
I thought of Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera,
yeah.
right?
First thing I thought of.
Signature songs. for some
stuff
guys.
like
And
that.
listen, there's nothing.
Remember Vince Taylor with the Terminator routine he
Terminator,
had?
There's
that was in
nothing-
1991.
Yeah.
There's nothing preventing these guys from doing great routines. We just had a point that we don't have as many that are doing great. Like right now, we don't have anybody that's doing the pop lock and stuff, right?
None of that. No
We had
personality.
Tricky Jackson, we had Melvin, right? We had a whole bunch of guys.
Kamali.
We had King Kamali, we had Vince
Durham
Taylor,
Charles.
right? Dazzling Durham Charles, king of the $10,000.
Freddie Smalls.
Freddie Biggie Smalls,
Yeah,
right?
They tried, yeah.
But all of a sudden, it's like, well, we're kind of in a spot now where we just don't have a lot of those
Nobody
type of
does
guys.
anything. Nobody
But-
does anything.
Listen, you can do great routines. You're seeing better routines actually in Classic.
How about this? Who's the best bodybuilding open poser
Well,
today?
I think we're going to see a great routine from Antoine
Of all
tonight.
time?
Tonight.
Antoine,
Okay, no, I'm saying-
Antoine's going to have the best routine tonight.
Okay, take it out of tonight. Let's just say last year.
Okay.
Who was our best poser?
Last year?
Men's bodybuilder. We saw all the shows.
Doesn't matter.
Who's the best poser?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Logan Franklin.
Well, I'm saying
Well, yeah, we
bodybuilder.
said
He's
bodybuilder.
classic.
It is bodybuilding.
All the classic guys are better, but in open
In open bodybuilding, there wasn't one.
Yeah.
You almost couldn't pick a winner because they all mailed it in. It's a
mailed
guest
it.
posing routine.
Yeah.
Derek was, again, they were okay. They were great, but we right now we just don't have that guy.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked at, because I've done this at local shows, and this could be like a state or national show, it could be anything, but I've done this at a few shows where I get the results and I think this can't be right.
Oh yeah.
And I look down the line and I'm like, number 25 has the quads. There's no way he's
I've
not
changed
winning
a few
this.
of those.
And I look down at the judges, and there's been a couple times where I've just been like, give me a second, and I've gone down and
double
shown
check.
them.
You
And
have to.
I remember one time the head judge looked at me and was like,
Yeah. Here we go.
I can't believe you caught that. And he changed it, and they all looked at each other, and they were like, dude. And
the
that's
wrong
why an
one.
MC who knows bodybuilding is so important, right?
Yes.
I've done. I have literally changed spots on. It usually happens, especially at the NPC. It's always the same. It's competitor 1 and 2, and there's only 2 of them. Right?
Oh,
For some
right,
odd
'cause
reason,
the 1 and 2 and
Right.
the 1 and 2.
I've gotten the results for the winner where I had one number of this athlete and the name of this athlete, and it was wrong.
Yeah,
And I
I did
announced
too.
it. I've had to take the award back and give it to the. It was a Steve Harvey moment.
that's the worst.
it sucked.
I do exactly
Dude.
what you just said.
It's so
I will
embarrassing.
stop the show.
Yeah.
I will say something clever like, folks, we got a real close one here, so I'm going to confirm the scoring with the
You bet,
judges
you bet.
just to make sure, but because I can tell. You've been there, right? I'm looking down,
Something's fishy.
and I'm like, there's no way in this earth this guy beat that guy.
It
There's no
happens.
way. I don't care what angle I'm at. The one guy didn't look like he ever hit the gym in his life. The other guy was okay, he was decent, but they had it
That's
reversed.
yeah.
But we had this happen, and it's only happened once at the Olympia a couple of years ago, if you remember, in fitness, where they gave me the wrong name.
Yep.
Right?
Oh,
and I had to sit there and do the Steve Harvey thing because it's like
crazy.
they gave me the wrong, and that got switched.
Yeah, that's my nightmare.
And I'm looking
It
and I'm
is.
going,
It's every MC's
I could have
nightmare.
sworn this girl would have won, right?
Yeah.
And for some odd reason, I think they got it mixed up with a different class. Is what happened. I think it was women's physique
Yeah.
that got switched between Sarah and Natalia
Right,
or something like that. But so I just think there was a mix-up in the thing. But when it got to me, I'm like, and I looked at the expeditor kid. I'm like, really? And he
Yeah, it's
goes,
crazy.
I'm just delivering. I go, are you kidding me? I knew it was wrong. The problem was it was one of those COVID years that we were in Vegas. The stage was as big as this expo.
Yeah,
there
you
was
couldn't
nobody
go down
next to
there.
me. I couldn't get to anybody to confirm it. And honestly, looking back, I knew it was wrong. And I'm like, I should have just stopped the show.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I knew it. And I couldn't get to an expert to go, hey, man, go check this, will you? Because there's no
Yeah.
way. And I've never been wrong on those. I mean, it's like, okay, if it's messed up. You know what I mean? But
So we were talking kind of about how the sport's changed, about how old the pros are now.
Right.
There's not a show out there that has teenage anything in it.
No.
There's nowhere to start.
When did Teen Nationals disappear?
Like that's like saying, when did women's
I don't even
bodybuilding amateur shows disappear? They just
Right.
disappeared.
when
I haven't had a women's bodybuilding show. I've been 8 years in Hawaii.
Great show, by
It's
the way.
it's not because I don't want women bodybuilders. There's just no
It's just not.
women bodybuilders.
when we were competing as teens, the teenage classes were huge.
Packed.
Yep.
I mean, there would be
We knew each other.
10 or
back then.
15 of us out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we all knew each other, kind of, and a lot of
anymore.
future champs.
Not anymore. And now I don't think you can
I
even.
hear
You
you.
have to be
You're
18
good.
years old to compete. By the way, I think you have to be
Yeah,
18.
you do.
Yeah, they actually changed the rules, which I don't know. I mean,
I
maybe
think it
there's
has something to do with women's bikini.
Maybe it's got something to do with liability or insurance. I don't know, but
Well, liability.
I started
what?
competing at
You're
13.
too young. Get off.
13, I started competing.
Yeah, Lee
See,
Priest
I
was
would've-
13 too.
I would have
It was
missed all
wild.
those years. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, damn, like that's.
So if the teenagers have nowhere to go, where do we get our next generation of athletes? Right?
I did a teenage show when I was 17.
Yeah.
I was in high school.
I
did
went
a
in an
teenage show.
open show as a
I
teenager.
think
didn't
honestly,
have
I
teenagers.
would put some campaign together
Yeah,
to
you
try to
gotta
get these
recruit.
younger guys. But you know what I've always thought they should have had was a teenage Olympia.
That would have been great.
Yeah, good for
We
you.
had-
I'm
we did
sure.
have
Yeah,
a-
good for you.
He beat my ass again on there. It wasn't enough that he's got to beat me at the national.
We did have the
stage.
junior
more
world.
time.
I went to after winning the teen nationals. I went to Australia and did the junior world championship. So that's kind of like, junior Mr. Universe. I went all the way down to Australia, but I just turned 20 and went down there and won that competition. But we don't have a farm club for the next generation. There's nothing. Like, remember you're talking about Mr. Puniverse?
Yeah.
Bob would pull these people out of the audience that get on stage that had never been in a gym.
Yeah.
And you got to pick the worst guy. Well, they should do that with
That's amazing.
I
teenagers.
miss those days. Those were great.
Oh, man.
With social media, you have a lot of young kids that want to do this, but they have nowhere to do it.
Right.
They don't
Yeah.
want to jump into an open show, stand next to a grown man. It's not a fair fight.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
What would be something else that you would change about the format of the weekend with all these categories? Like you said, the one-day show.
Yes, the
But-
one-day shows.
So do you think that it's just the expo that prevents them from doing that?
I think it is.
There's a lot of moving pieces. Again, personally, you can do it. It's doable. We did it for years.
Yeah.
I would put, just hypothetically, right, men's open. Put the prejudging on 12
noon
in the afternoon, at the wherever you want, at the expo, at the thing, and then put them on at night, that same night. Friday, same thing. Prejudging for whatever, classic, finals that day. Whatever the morning is, the night should be.
I don't think you lose anything.
No.
If prejudging was at 12 noon today here, that would still be sold out. Next
Correct.
door, the theater next door.
Tonight, it would still be sold out.
Yeah, today and tonight.
Yeah.
You don't lose. The audience shouldn't have to choose. If I want to come to the expo, I'm here. I can go watch the prejudging at 12 and still come to the expo.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got to do something for the bodybuilders. Have to have a say, I think, in this, because it's their bodies they're going through this. Right now they don't.
Yeah.
It's the organizers.
Yeah, well, man, it's been great having you guys on. Like, this was awesome. I didn't know you were going to make it today. We were talking about trying to get you on. We're like, we got to get Bob somehow.
Sure.
So it was great to come back and see you sitting here waiting for us.
Thank you, brother.
And obviously, Shawn, I'm real happy to get to sit down and talk to you. It's been a long time coming.
Brother.
And
Come back out to Hawaii, bro.
Yeah,
November
yeah.
16th, Shawn Ray Classic.
Yeah,
I got a new MC.
And I gotta say,
I got to open the vault to get this guy out there. But we're gonna get him.
So he thinks because I'm with Mutant now that I'm just by proxy now. I
that's
have
it,
to go
by
to Hawaii.
proxy.
Oh, it's no charge now, right?
That's the only reason he's here, so I can get him down.
And now it just becomes like a
Ron,
Mutant thing. You know?
This guy lives in Georgia, and he's saying no to Hawaii unless it's a first class ticket and a $100,000 fee.
There you,
So we're gonna do something to trade.
Bro, I'm a big timer now. What can I say? I mean,
I kicked him into the pros.
I'm a big deal.
I kicked him into the pros. He's the voice of bodybuilding because I helped him.
Yeah.
I was his coach.
I'll come out just because it's him. I got to get shamed into it. You know
He's
what I mean?
afraid of the sun.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the surf and the Mai Tais.
I gotta say, I was lucky enough to go to your show in Hawaii. I went with Mutant.
Tell him what
one
he's
year.
missing.
It was awesome. I mean, I took the wife and we did the helicopter tour of
He
Oahu.
thinks he's coming to Hawaii to work. I have like 2
man,
pro divisions.
it was
we were in
crazy.
Hawaii together. What was it like 20 years ago?
Yeah, that was like 22.
22 years ago.
2002.
I'm pacing myself.
Back out there, man.
But once every 22 years, so I'll be 80
The Fountain
something
of
when
Youth is in Hawaii, bro.
we go back.
I'm gonna bring you back out there.
All right.
Well,
Well,
gonna get on that
Dusty,
helicopter
you
ride.
and I can go.
Yes.
They can continue to argue with each other for
He's in
another
South
hour.
Carolina.
I gotta go.
Are you out in South Carolina?
Yes, sir.
So you got to come the same. You guys come together.
Oh,
He's
man.
in Savannah.
Well,
the
I'm
flights.
really looking forward to tonight, and there's a special moment tonight, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
Yes. Tell us
Lifetime
about that.
Lifetime Achievement Award, been given every year. Obviously, it's a who's who.
Flex
as the who's
Wheeler,
received this.
Sylvester Stallone,
Lee Haney.
Yeah, we got Lee Haney. I mean, there's all kinds of.
Linda Murray.
Ronnie Coleman, right? Was
Corey Everson,
that was
Jack LaLanne.
memorable? But Jay Cutler
Luke-
getting his just
Luke
due
Ferrigno.
tonight in that
Love it.
Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, the cut above. Jay Cutler.
Isn't he a little young for Lifetime Achievement?
No, man, he's won this show 3 times.
Yeah, I mean-
He has 4 Olympia titles. He's got a slew of titles. He beat Ronnie Coleman.
I'm just saying, Jay's the
I think
type
it's
of
late
guy.
in the game.
Jay's the type of guy you might have to have another one in 10 years for him. and see if he does
he's
another.
actually right behind you. He's at
He
the
actually-
Celsius booth.
He actually should have.
He's literally
I'm
standing
surprised-
there.
I'm surprised it took
He's
this
been
long.
shaking hands and kissing babies for a couple of hours
Well,
over
there he goes.
Jay is always been truly the people's champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's legit.
Loved him for years. He's well-spoken. You know, he's made millions in the industry and other business ventures that he's got. So nobody more deserving.
He's got the
honestly.
Jay Cutler Classic coming
Yeah.
up March 30th in
I-
Las Vegas.
I have to tell one quick thing about Jay. We had Andrea Shaw on yesterday, and I asked her what the best advice she'd ever been given by anyone for her career, and she said, that's easy. She said, one time I talked to Jay, and Jay told me, don't change it up on people.
Yeah.
If you guest pose for someone the first time,
It's true.
and you don't charge them, then you guest pose for that person because they're the reason you got the next gig and the next gig.
Yeah,
and don't
Andrea
change
must
it
have
up.
forgot when I told her my advice, which was you need to get with Mutant.
Right.
and she got with Mutant, and her life has never been the same. She must have forgot about it. I'm going to remind her.
You know what, though? Jay walks the walk because to this day, Shawn will back this up, he still goes to Dave Lieberman's show in
Yes, he
Ohio.
does, Ohio.
He still goes to Lonnie Tieper's show.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to go to these things. He's way past it, right? The whole thing. but he's never forgotten where he's come from.
Yeah,
Yes,
a very
that-
successful
yeah.
podcast now, the Cutler Cast. Is
Yeah,
really good.
yeah,
Cast
the
is
Cutler
always
Cast,
fun.
him
He's
and
doing good
Manager
things.
Matt.
Manager Matt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Good guys.
Yeah, we're going to recognize Jay tonight. He
Yeah.
gets his flowers tonight.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. It's probably going to be the highlight of the weekend
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
He deserves it.
And I want to thank, obviously our audience for sticking with us, and everyone that's actually stood here and watched. This is going on YouTube, so we didn't
me
expect
and Bob
an
are gonna
audience.
pose down.
You're all YouTube
But,
famous.
We got to say thanks to the voice of bodybuilding, Bob Cicherillo, our newest member of the Mutant family.
Thank
It's
you,
great
Bob.
to have you.
Thank you,
Known
Bob.
you for so
Welcome.
many years,
I can't get rid
and,
of this guy.
and it's just awesome to be able to work with you now. And
Yes.
Sean, great to sit down with you, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm
You
here
know,
to validate the guy.
I had a great time in Hawaii, and I would love to come back if we could talk Jim into
Let's make it
paying
happen.
for another plane ticket.
I
I'd
need
be
Dusty
happy to
and
do
I
it.
need Bob too.
Yeah.
The Fit Rockstar came out last
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
She
Oh,
can
yeah.
vouch for
I
it.
mean,
She
amazing.
knows.
Yeah. So remember.
Oh, by the way, Andrew is guest posing again this year.
Oh, there you go. Another reason to go.
November 16th.
Okay. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
Ring the bell.
ring the bell.
Ring the bell, baby.
Remember, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com. Dusty20, Big Ron 20. Get your ISO Surge, get your all in, and everybody should get on the gear.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nation.
Thanks to Scott, the producer, McNally, for making absolutely everything here happen. Dusty and I do nothing. He
nothing.
does everything. He is the man. He's the reason. Thanks, everybody. It's just bodybuilding.
Told you I'd make you famous.